I gotta say, the Thunderbolts, really solid film, like so much fun. This might be the turning point for Marvel films because Marvel has, in my opinion, not been desirable or, well paced for a while now. And we're going to be straight into spoiler territory. Normally I wouldn't say that, but this movie just came out. So, let you guys know I'm spoiling the whole film. So if you don't want to get it spoiled, you can mute me if you're on the stream, or you can go watch it, come back, watch this video. But seriously, it was such a fun movie. It was really good, really solid. The action was good. The CG, it was Marvel CG. It wasn't bad. The acting was pretty good too. The story, solid. And I love what they did with the characters and the solutions and the villains and the heroes. Would you say it's better than Brave New World? I didn't see Brave New World. I was gonna see it, and then I got super busy with a project, and then Andrew saw it without me, and then Claire didn't want to see it, so I didn't see it. I can't go to movies by myself. I just can't. It gives me some sort of anxiety. So if someone doesn't invite me, or I don't convince someone else to go, I'm not going to see it. And everybody who I knew was going to see it had already seen it, and they were like, I don't want to see it. So I can't say if it was better or worse than Brave New World, but I actually wanted to see it, unlike Brave New World. So that's already a huge plus on its side. Just wanting to go to see it at last minute on a Friday, like, that's a solid film right there. If you're like, okay, I'll see it in a few hours. Like, no plans beforehand. Literally, we made our plans today. All right. That's usually reserved for like films that, I kind of want to see it, but it's like, I really wanted to see this. I didn't want to see this originally, by the way. When they first announced it, I was like, really? A movie with Ghost, the most forgettable Marvel villain. More forgettable than Malekith. Malekith, we remember Malekith because he was a waste of Chris Eccleston. And he's one of the worst Marvel films. Ghost, nobody remembers because she's not really a villain. So I was like, they're making a movie where Ghost is a main character and Taskmaster, the worst comic book character in existence, in my opinion, was the movie version of Taskmaster. And that's because Taskmaster in that film was not a character. It was a comic book character name attached to a body. There was no character for Taskmaster. That's why I say it's the worst one. Andrew said the Deadpool from Wolverine Origins is worse, but I'd say it's slightly better just because for like the first 30 minutes of the film, he's a character. It gets really bad really quickly, but he's a character in the beginning. Taskmaster is nothing throughout the whole film. It's not a character. Anyways, moving on from Taskmaster. So we got Ghost, the most forgettable. Taskmaster, the biggest insult in my opinion, the worst comic book character of all time. And not comic book character, comic book character movie adaptation of all time. There we go. Ooh, it's a lot of words to say. Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, who we've already had a full TV show. We've had 2.5 movies with him. It's like, okay, I guess. Red Guardian, who Andrew loves the Red Guardian character and the actor who plays him. But I'm like, he was fun, but he was in a really bad Marvel film. Yelena, who again, she was in that same bad Marvel film and was in the Hawkeye TV show and was like, fine, okay, okay. And then US Agent, who was out of all the characters, he was the one I was most interested in. A person who was made Captain America and then given the super soldier serum and then took it the wrong way, and how the government could use him in the worst ways to ruin his reputation but make themselves look good. That was the character I was most interested in, but I didn't think it would be good in this film. I was wrong. Almost all of those characters are amazing. There is one character in the film. This person does nothing. And I already said spoilers, so I don't care. They murder Taskmaster in the first 30 minutes, and me and Andrew were like, yes, thank you. Get rid of this stupid waste of space. They literally kill her off. And I was like, thank God. I never have to worry about this. This character has been living rent-free in my brain for years. She's gone. Like, just thank heavens. So the way the story happens, it turns out all of them, not Winter Soldier or Red Guardian, because nobody remembers Red Guardian because he never did anything special. And Winter Soldier has already gone through his villain arc and has become a hero. So if you saw Brave New World, which I hadn't, it starts with him. It turns out he's a senator now. And that girl from the Hawkeye TV show, the one who was getting Yelena to attack, what's his face? Hawkeye? Can't believe it. Clint. There we go. And she was also at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier where she like got US Agent. She's like, don't worry, we're going to make a team. Oh, she was also in Wakanda Forever. That lady who's been building up. They've been building up in the background. I think that's the one thing that Marvel's been building up slowly since the end of Endgame that has actually paid off. And I'll get to that later. That's like, I'm surprised out of all things, this character has been the most involved in the Marvel universe. Wow. What a weird side character. This basically is the new Nick Fury. She basically is the new Nick Fury. Not as good, but the new Nick Fury. It's like, okay, that's cool. So anyway, she has been having them work for her for years and doing these like secret missions that are illegal and off the books, obviously, because that's U.S. Agent, Taskmaster, Ghost, and Yelena. Those 4 have been doing it. And she is now being put on trial for human experimentation, and she's going to lose her place as the head of the CIA and all that stuff. And Bucky Barnes is one of the people who is voting against her. And it turns out she has been secretly doing experiments on people to create the next superhero, the next Captain America, but better. As she describes it, all of the Avengers combined in one person. And if you don't know who that is, that's Sentry in the comics. Sentry is the Marvel version of Superman, basically. Has so many freaking powers. Technically has more powers than Superman and is kind of more powerful than Superman, but also isn't. The whole thing. And so, the US government found out that she was doing this human experimentation and she needs to shut it down. So she had all her agents go out and destroy all her research facilities throughout the world, and then sent them to kill each other without realizing they were going to kill each other, saying like, oh, that person's going to steal from me, that person's an assassin, you got to kill that person, you have the right to kill that person. And then once they got in there, they would get locked in and then incinerated. One of the things she didn't realize, though, was in one of the containers in the room they're fighting in has Sentry, and they unlock it, and he just comes out and he's like, and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Bob, I just woke up here, I don't know what's going on. And they're like, sure you don't. And they're, things are a little tense. The person they were just hired by sent them to kill each other and then almost killed them. And that's when they killed Taskmaster. And I was like, thank God. And then they have to figure out a way to get out of the building. They're like deep underground. And one thing I really like that they showed is how powerful the super soldier serum actually is. Like, they kind of show it, but it's in a Marvel film. So it's like, oh, he punches real strong, but then Hulk punches even stronger, or Thor punches even stronger, or Iron Man shoots a laser, or Vision can fly. It's like, oh, he's strong, but is he really that strong? So one of the scenes they show is they're in the elevator shaft, and US Agent goes, don't worry, I got this, and just leaps. He basically does a Superman leap and just goes freaking flying. And then he falls back down because it's like miles and miles below ground, but he just flies and he falls down and he's fine. And I love that they show how powerful he actually is. Like, he's not just like a muscle man strong. He's superhuman, basically. Like, just below superhuman is what the super soldier serum does. So I'm glad that they did that. So then they're like, how do we get out of here? And Bob goes, I have an idea. And they do the Emperor's New Groove thing, where they have their backs against each other and they push against the wall, except for it's 4 of them. And then they find a door and they almost fall, and he touches Yelena's hand. Him and her go into like this memory moment where they see this scene where she got another girl killed as part of her training from the Red Room. Her and Black Widow had to go through the Red Room to become elite assassins, to not care about anybody, just kill the target sort of thing. And she feels really bad about that. And at the beginning of the film, Yelena's talking about how she doesn't want to be just doing assassin films. She doesn't want to be doing like these dark missions anymore. She's feeling lonely. She feels terrible. She wants to be in the front of the camera. She wants to be a hero. That's what she wants to do. She wants to help people. She wants to do good. She wants to feel good about herself. She hates her life right now. And then she sees Red Guardian, her father, basically, who is, again, much like Captain America, has super soldier serum, except for it was made by the Russians, so it's a flawed variation. The best version was obviously the Cap version, but that was partially because Cap was such a good person. It just made his goodness better. And so she sees her dad, and her dad's like, his life kind of sucks, and her life kind of sucks, and they haven't seen each other in a year. And he's doing this limo job where it's a Red Guardian limo company. You'll never have a boring limo ride with me, or whatever, something like that. I forget his logo. It's a stupid logo. And he's like, he really wants like the fame and the glory and the money of being a superhero. But he also does care down. You learn throughout the film, like, he does care about people, but his main drive is for the glory and the money. But he likes doing the good thing. He doesn't just want to do bad things for glory in a movie. He wants to do good things for glory and money. And so anyways, they get out, and then, they have to escape because she's found out that Bob was her test subject to make the Sentry character. And so she's got a whole army there to stop them. And they're about to escape, but they're almost stopped. So Bob runs out and he starts shooting up, and they shoot him with all these bullets. And he's just standing there. He's fine. And he goes flying, and he's flying. He's like, oh my God, everything's so great. And then he just falls. He just plummets to the earth and creates a crater. And before that, Yelena was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I've always had this issue where I would have these really good highs, and then it would be met with these really, really low lows, like really terrible, deep down beneath the earth lows. And then I'd lose consciousness for a while. Like, it always happened ever since I was a kid. So Sentry falls down to earth, and they're trying to escape. And Red Guardian hears that, not Elena, what's her name? The lady who's running the whole thing is going to kill them because it turns out he's driving her in his limo. And so they're in the desert. Ghost, Yelena, and Winter Soldier, U.S. agent, are walking through the desert. Sentry's fallen, and he's been recaptured by what's her face. I can't remember her name. I remember her face. I just can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names. And while they're running, Red Guardian comes up in the limo, and he's like, "Yeah, don't go. They're going to kill you." And they've already escaped by now. It's like, oh my God, that's my dad. So they're driving away, and they're about to get captured by, I'm just going to call her Madam Hydra. I know she's not Madam Hydra. I'm just going to call her that, so I can keep saying that. Madam Hydra. So she's got a convoy chasing them. Actually, I'll just look up her name so that way I can actually say her name. Valentina. That's it. Her name is Valentina. I think she is Madam Hydra. Anyways, so Valentina, she has two of her things chasing after, and they're about to get captured because it's a limo. Limos don't drive that fast. They're not meant to. And these are Humvee vehicles. And Bucky shows up to save them. And then he actually captures them. He's like, I'm going to bring you in. You guys are proof about what she's doing. As a senator, I'm going to use you guys as proof so that way she can get taken down. And then they're like, no, you can't. Look, Bob, it turns out he has these powers. It's like, who's Bob? And it's like, because he's a nobody. He was a nobody. He technically still is a nobody. And they're like, what do you mean? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. And then Bucky in the background has been trying to get, I lost her name again, Valentina's assistant, Mel, to join his side to bring her in because she has the most information. She could actually get her whole career destroyed. And then so she calls him and she's like, look, Bob, he has these weird powers going on. We don't know what's going on. He wasn't supposed to survive. Now he's back. And I think he might cause some real problems. And Valentina, she's gone crazy. And he's like, Bob? And they're like, Bob, which was pretty funny. He's like, okay, fine. You guys are going to come with me. We're going to go take this guy in. All right. There's 3 super soldiers between us. We got you who can phase through things. And Yelena, you're pretty good. You're like Black Widow. She was pretty good. They get to New York and they're trying to break into the front. And she goes in the speaker and she's like, guys, you freaking idiots. The door was unlocked. Come on up. It's all good now. And they get up and they're like, we're going to arrest you. We're going to take you in for what you're doing. And then he comes down and she's convinced Sentry to join her. And they've like dyed his hair to blonde, put him in like this nice gold shiny outfit. And they're like, come on, Bob, you don't got to listen to her. Like, come on. And it's like, guys, why don't you just step down? I don't want to hurt you. And they're like, okay, well, if you're going to try and arrest us for doing nothing wrong, then we're going to have to stop you. And they try to stop him. And he is way too strong. He like destroys them. Like literally, it's not even a joke for him. Like everything they do doesn't even touch his body. And so they escape, and she's like, go after them. And he's like, why? They're not a threat to me. I'm not going to go after them. In fact, why do I have to listen to you? Why do you get to decide things? I'm the one who's a god. And she goes, well, I think you're throwing the god word around too much. And he goes, no, you're the one who said I'm like all the Avengers combined, and one of them was a god, right? So doesn't that make me at least part god? So I think I should decide things. And she ends up pressing the kill switch on him that they had installed, and then he turns all shadowy and dark, and he starts turning people into shadows, and it causes all these things to fall down. The city's falling apart, and they had all split up at this point. They're like, look, we're not a team, we're not good, we're splitting up, there's nothing we can do. And while Yelena's walking away, Red Guardian goes, look, we need to stick together, we shouldn't split up. It's like, I needed you for a year. And he's like, well, I didn't think you needed me. I thought you wanted me to stay away because I'm not good at anything. I'm not good at being a father. I don't know how to do this, but I do see that you now have a light in you that you did not have. Your light was dimming, and now it's coming back, being with these guys. I think being with people is good for us. We should stick together. It's better than staying apart. She's like, okay, that's a good point. And then everything starts falling apart, and they all work together to save people, just because at heart, they're all good people. They all want to save them. And they end up saving all these people, and everybody's like, wow, great job, thank you. And then they see the shadows coming, and the shadows are getting larger and larger. And there's a scene where Red Guardian saves this little girl, and while he's holding her hand, she gets turned into a shadow right in front of him. And I will say, the moment that happened, I knew the little girl wasn't dead, because there's no way Marvel will kill a child in a movie. They do that, it becomes an R-rated film like that. So I was like, okay, they're not dead. They're going to like some weird depression dimension. If you can't tell, the darkness is a metaphor for depression, because they talked earlier about how he goes to these high highs and then these really low lows. And he's like, when I'm high, I feel invincible. But when I have the lows, everything is just shadows and darkness. And Yelena starts to realize, like, maybe the shadows won't kill us. And she steps into the shadows, and they're like, what are you doing? No. And then they go in and she sees her memory again. She's by herself. She sees her memory again. She's like, how do I get out? And she and it turns out there's like walls, like it only goes as far as her vision. And so she breaks through into walls, ends up in another one of her memories that she feels bad about from the Red Room. And then the others are like, maybe she didn't die. Maybe she knew something. We should go in. And they're like, fine, I guess that's our best bet. And this is where I think the film actually kind of made a mistake. In this scene, we should have seen other people's shadow rooms, their own depression rooms. Because Andrew and I were talking about this. We know Yelena's character a little bit, and seeing these scenes of hers helps build it better. We know Bucky's character. We don't need to see his. I think it would have been cool if they showed him show up in his, and he's like, one of these scenes, huh? I've already worked past it, and he just moves on, and he instantly just goes past it. Red Guardian, we see one of his sad scenes, and he's like, and they show that he has some inner strength, and he pushes past it. But it would have been nice, and we do get to see one of Walker's U.S. agents scenes where him and his wife have this fight about raising their kid, and then we learn later that his wife left him and took their son with him. But it would have been nice to see one of Ghost's rooms, because up to this point, Ghost isn't really much of a character. Like, her character trait is, I want to live. I mean, it's more than Taskmaster, but it's not really anything. It would be nice if we saw like a scene of like, maybe she enjoys peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Maybe she hates peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Literally anything would have been better. I think it would have lifted the movie and the character up a bit more, because throughout the film, she's interesting enough, but she's not much of anything. Like everyone else, we have stories of them. We know them as characters. We know them as people. We don't really know Ghost as a person, and I would have liked to have gotten to know her, but we don't get that. I'm convinced they had more of those shadow depression rooms throughout the film, but they probably cut them to save budget. But overall, the film is still pretty solid. It's really good. But clearly these scenes are like, they're always the worst scenes, or at least scenes people feel guilty about and that make them feel sad. So they're meant to represent depression. And so she keeps breaking through each of her memories until she's like, Bob, where are you? And then she finally meets up with him, and he's like, hey, how's it going? Look, I found a room. This one's nicer than a lot of the other ones, but it still kind of sucks. And she's like, you said it's nicer. Where does it suck? And they look through the floorboards, and they see a memory of his dad beating his mom. And then he tries to stand in front, and she's like, sit down. You don't do that. You make it worse. You always make things worse. And it shows like how he has this really depressed side where he wanted to be a hero. But just like in the movie, it wasn't his fault that things got worse. Things just get worse sometimes. And I think, and it's a really good symbolism of the movie talking about depression, because I can really emphasize with that. And I think a lot of people can. I know Claire could, I know Andrew could, because it's really easy to want to beat yourself up and feel bad. And it's like, everything is always your fault, and you can always make things worse. And she's like, look, we got to not do that, because if we let the darkness control us, there can't be any light. And he's like, I don't know how to fight it. I'm stuck here just like you are. And she's like, well, you said this is one of the nicer rooms, right? And this is where you go to hide? He goes, yeah. Well, maybe we got to find one of the worst rooms and tackle it from there. And he's like, okay, I guess we'll try. And as soon as they stand up, objects in the room start flying and attacking him. And she's like, who's doing that? And he's like, I think I am. Well, can you stop it? And he's like, we'll try. And like, they're trying to dodge all these items, and a sheet comes in and starts choking both of them at the same time. And as it's about to choke them, a knife comes up and cuts the sheet in half. And it's Bucky, Walker, and Ghost. And Red Guardian is there, and they're stopping all the stuff from hitting them. And Red Guardian, all he does is he grabs a pillow and rips it out. He goes, bad pillow, evil pillow, bad pillow. And they break through all the rooms, and they do a montage kind of thing, like a quick, like this room, this bad scene to this bad scene. And then they get to the scene where it shows when he was being tested on to become Sentry. And it shows and they see a version of him sitting there, the shadow version of him. And there's two shadow figures that he just turned to shadow. He's like, oh, this is where it first happened, where everything started to go real bad. And he's like, and his shadow's like, you think you could ever be anything better than who you are? You'll always be worthless. You'll always be alone. And they try to go like, no, that's not true. And immediately the shadow like sticks them to the wall by like bending beams around them and stuff. And they can't move. And Yelena tries to say something, and it starts choking her, so she can't stop talking. And earlier he said, don't worry, you can't die in here. The pain only gets worse. There's no death, only pain and more pain. So that's why we don't have to worry about her dying while getting choked. But it's like, the point is that she can't speak. She can't help him by reaching out to him with her voice. And so he's like, I'm going to stop you. And he gets the shadow version of himself down. He starts beating it up, and he's beating up the shadow version of himself. And you see the shadow version just keeps smiling, and it's laughing. It's like, ha ha ha, you think you can stop me? I'll be here forever. I'm a part of you. And as he's beating him up and getting angrier and angrier, the shadows actually start crawling up his body more. He's becoming more like the shadow version of himself. And obviously this is a symbol for when you are depressed and unhappy, beating yourself up, getting angry about it doesn't help anything. It just makes things worse. you can't beat yourself up. And so Yelena, she's stuck in the wall with Red Guardian. Red Guardian pushes the thing that's holding them in, and she slips down and she jumps over and gets to him, and she just holds him and she's like, you're not alone, I'm here. And like you see the shadow start to recede from him, and you see the evil shadow version himself stop smiling as much, like it's starting to fade a bit. And then the beams aren't holding on to the others as much, so they all come in and they all hold him, and they're like, we're here for you, we're all together. And that pulls him out of the shadows, and then you see the shadows that have been reaching across the city, like what we saw in the trailer. They all start receding back into him, and he's Bob again. He doesn't, even his costume isn't, he's on the golden costume. He doesn't have the dyed blonde hair. He's himself. And he's like, hey, how's it going, guys? How's everything? And they're like, do you not remember what happened? He's like, no, what happened? What are you talking about? I just got here. So clearly he has a little bit of probably borderline personality, a little bit, or it's just, it causes major memory lapses with his depression. And everybody's been turned back to normal. And they see Valentina, and she's trying to call and back up. And she goes behind it. They all chase after her, and she goes behind a tarp. And when they get to the other end of the tarp, there's a media there. And she's like, hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to the new heroes, the new Avengers. And they're all clapping for them. And then Yelena walks up to her and whispers in her ear, we own you now. Because if she, like, yes, they're the new Avengers. But if at any point they admit to what she had them do and what she did to Sentry, she's screwed. So just to stay out of prison, she's like, fuck. They own her. And it's pretty great. And I forget what the first end credit scene was, but they have an end credit scene. And this is one of the best end credit scenes in a long time. I'm going to say that. Because it actually, well, I'll tell you what the scene is. So it ends with them in Avengers Tower, and they have their new Avengers uniforms. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, he's trying to sue us for the name Avengers. He copyrighted it. I honestly think that was a terrible joke. Someone at Marvel thought that would be a funny joke, but I think it kind of ruined Sam's character a bit. Because I don't think Sam cares about titles. Yes, he wanted to become Captain America. And yes, he holds on to that title now. But in his show, he didn't want to be Captain America. He wanted to be Sam Wilson. He was fine being the Falcon. Because he doesn't care about the glory or the titles. He only cares about the accomplishments. Like the show ends with him becoming Captain America because he realizes he has to. Because if he doesn't, someone else will, and it might not be the right person. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a person. And it also makes them a symbol that people will follow for good or bad. And so it's not that he became Captain America because he's like, I deserve to be Captain America. I own the title. It was more, I need to be Captain America. It can't just be someone. It has to be me. I have to be Captain America. He kind of takes that, like, because remember, Sam in the beginning of Falcon and the Winter Soldier gives up the Captain America shield because he doesn't think there needs to be a new Captain America. He realizes there does have to be, and it has to be him. It's the whole great power comes great responsibility thing. I know that's Spider-Man, but the concept applies to everything. But I really don't like that they ended the scene with him. They're like, oh, he's suing us for the Avengers line. And it's like, Bucky, aren't you friends with him? Why didn't you talk to him? I called him. The call didn't go well. I think that's a bad scene. I think scrub that and have the rest of the scene. It's fine. And the rest of the scene is pretty funny because, like, they're talking about being Avengers, and Red Guardian comes in and he's like, I know how we get around copyright. We are Avengers with a Z. And then they're like, they have like no plans on how to work with him. It's like, this is why we're Avengers with a Z. Oh, Thunderbolts, by the way. The reason they're called the Thunderbolts in this film is hilarious. I love it. It's ridiculous and dumb, but kind of perfect for this film. It's great. So then they hear like, oh, there's something in the atmosphere. It's a UFO, unidentified flying object. And so they like put it on the screen. And they're like, why don't we just have Sentry carry us up there? And he's like, sorry, guys, I can't always turn on. If I do, there's a chance the other guy will come out. So I'm just trying to keep it all on the down low for now. But I did the dishes, and I love how they're like, I like that scene. That's a beautiful scene. Like, oh, I didn't do everything, but I did this. Like, that's a good way to treat yourself and for others to treat you. And so then they're looking at the video of what it is, and it's a rocket ship. And the rocket ship turns, and it shows the Fantastic Four logo. And I think this is one of the best end credit scenes because it's building up a movie. It's building up a movie they've already started working on. They've already advertised. We know is coming out. They can't take back that end credit scene. The reason I say that is because there was another end credit scene similar to this. Does anybody remember the end credit scene to Eternals where Kit Harington's character comes out and he's got the Necroblade, the Ebony Knight? Where's that story? That story's not going anywhere. They're not going to do anything with that. So what the hell, Marvel? Whereas this one, I saw a trailer for the Fantastic Four film before this film. This is a good way to hype up a film because we know the next film is coming. I think there's only one minor problem with this end credit scene, and is that it potentially spoils the ending for Fantastic Four. Because why? So one thing we know is that the Fantastic Four movie takes place either in another timeline, alternate dimension, or in the past. And we see the rocket ship with the Fantastic Four logo. They haven't been mentioned in the series, so it's almost definitely like 99.99% true that it's in an alternate dimension. Another thing we know about this movie is Galactus is in it, and the Silver Surfer. So this rocket ship tells me that the ending of Fantastic Four is going to be Galactus is going to eat their world, they're going to lose, and they're going to have to get in a rocket ship to come to this universe. And I'm okay with that because honestly, that was one of the possibilities for the ending already. I just want to see how they get there at this point now. Now it's about the journey, not the destination. However, here's my crackpot theory. I don't think it's just going to be the Fantastic Four in there. I think it's going to be the Fantastic Fours in that rocket, Doom, the Robert Downey Jr. Doom, X-Men. That's how they're going to bring it all in. They're going to bring them all. This is going to be like a safety rocket to bring as many people in. That's how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to bring in mutants and the Fantastic Four. That's my crackpot theory. Anyways, that was Thunderbolts. I thought this was really solid. This was a great movie. It was so much fun. Andrew said he gave it a 7. Claire said she gave it an 8. I'm probably going to give it an 8 as well, maybe a 7. Again, I think the only problem is that we didn't get to spend enough time with some of these characters to learn who they are, especially Ghost. We spent a good amount of time with Bob. We spent a good amount of time with Yelena. Her dad was pretty actually good in this film. Honestly, you could have taken out 3 of the characters in the main cast, and it wouldn't have changed the movie too much. Like, you could have taken Winter Soldier out, US Agent, and Ghost. I think you could have achieved almost the same film. If you had made this a Yelena and Sentry film only, it could have still worked just as well, if not better. I think. I'm not saying I want them to take them out. I like seeing Bucky and everything. I really want to see more of US Agent's story. Ghost was fine to see. I liked her better than in Ant-Man 2. That's what I can say about her. And I'm glad they killed Taskmaster. So this film, really great. Had a lot of fun. I think this might be the turning point where Marvel finally starts making films that lead into other films, and they don't just like, oh, that's not going to happen. Or it's like, it's connected. It's connected. Oh, it's all connected. Like, this film actually feels connected to other stuff and is leading into other stuff I want to see and that we know we are going to see. We know we're going to see a Fantastic Four movie. They've already put out trailers, them pointing it out. Also, I think that the fact that they kept bringing in, what's her phrase? Valentina. I can't believe Valentina is the most connected character through all these films and leads to an actually good film. This is, me and Andrew both agree, by the way, this is the best Marvel film since Guardians 3. Anyways, that's my review for the Thunderbolts asterisk. I'm excited. It was a lot of fun. I hope if you enjoyed it, you click the like button. If you want to see more of this, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me. Who believes in you? Bye-bye, Avengers.